everyone, welcome back. It's me, Captain Sensible, here with another quick mini review before Mr. Smelly's video. So he's asked me to review this one from Fragrance Samples UK. This is Armani's Acqua di Gio Profumo. This one was released in 1974. The perfumer is Les Dennis. The notes on this one are bergamot, aquatic notes, incense, frankincense, common sense, and apples. Now, I wore this one the other day to a fancy dress party, and it went down quite well. People quite liked it. I got a couple of comments where people said I smelled really good. Unfortunately, the costume I wore didn't go down quite so well. I went wearing nothing but my underpants. This lady came up to me and said, what on earth are you supposed to be dressed as? I said, I'm a premature ejaculation. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, I've just come in my pants.
Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be having a look at my top 5 hyped up fragrances in the Fragcom, and I'm going to give you my opinion on them. So these are fragrances that I don't own, that we've seen a lot of talk about on YouTube videos over the last year or few years, and I thought it'd be really interesting for me to talk about some that you've never heard me talk about or hardly on my channel and give you my opinion. This video today is sponsored by Fragrance Samples UK. So they have sent me the 5 samples that we're going to be talking about. In this case I've got 5ml samples of each one here, and it's a great company. The samples come nicely packaged if you buy a few in these kind of velvety pouches, and they offer fragrance samples from all kinds of different companies, from designer fragrances, niche fragrances, really high-end stuff on there, loads of that as well, and some obscure sort of cheapies are on there too. So it's a great way to try stuff out without risking blind buying a full bottle online. They offer sizes, I think, usually from right down at 1ml up to 50ml in most fragrances, so you can just have a very small amount to try out, or if you get a 20ml, 30ml, 50ml, then it's kind of an alternative to buying the full bottle, and particularly with some of the niche fragrances, that can be a really money saving and great idea. So I do have a code for them, and that's Smelly July, which will give you 10% off for the rest of July, and there's a link in the description. So if you're in the UK, just click that link, it will take you to their website. Anything you buy will have the code applied. If you're outside the UK, they do still ship all around the world, and you just need to email them at info@fragrancesamplesuk to order from outside the UK. That should be info@fragrancesamplesuk.com, and you can still apply that code Smelly July to get your 10% off. So thanks very much to them for that. So let's get stuck into it. So the first fragrance that I'm going to talk about is the famous Invictus Aqua, and I've been sent the 2016 version because it was out only for a short while in 2016, then it wasn't available, and now they've re-released it. I can't talk about the reformulation. I know some people say there's a slight difference. I have tried the new one in the shops and I don't notice a huge difference. So Invictus Aqua 2016 release, and notes on this one are grapefruit, yuzu, pink pepper, marine notes, violet leaf, gaiac wood, ambergris, and woody amber apparently. So it's a flanker to the original Invictus from Paco Rabanne, and this one is an aquatic, fresh, citrusy scent with quite a bit of sweetness in it too. So I've sprayed these all on paper strips before doing the video, and I've worn them all at least a couple of times. So Invictus Aqua, yeah, it's definitely got a bit of the original Invictus DNA. There is this kind of bubblegummy, synthetic aspect to this scent, but it's definitely ramped up the freshness, which is in Invictus to some extent, but you've got much more, I think, this yuzu, grapefruit. It's all a little bit synthetic, marine notes. You definitely get a marine feel with this one. It's very, very fresh, and it smells more like a young person's scent to me than one for someone like me in my 40s. So a really good one for teenagers or people in their 20s. Any age, of course, can wear it, but there's something that smells modern about this one. I can see why it's been talked about or hyped, if you like. Many fragrance reviewers, including Jeremy Fragrance at one time, have said they really like it. Great fresh fragrance. It certainly would be popular, I think, with younger people, and it smells very, very bright, very crisp, and somehow rather modern, and it has a little bit of that sweetness that we get that's popular with younger people's fragrances, modern fragrances these days, as well as this kind of aquatic freshness. To me, it's just okay. It's nice, but it doesn't excite me. It doesn't have that classiness or sophistication that I like to smell. Something nice if I smell a natural smelling bergamot or some slightly herbal aromatics mixed in with citrus aromas. And this one doesn't, I like some classic scents, Dior's Eau Sauvage. I like Acqua di Parma fragrances. This one is a more modern, synthetic take on freshness. It is nice. I don't think I'm going to be buying a bottle, and it won't be in any of my top 10 summer lists ever, I don't think. It's just okay, but a little bit too, I hate to use the word, but a little bit generic to me. It smells like other things that are out there, maybe with a kind of standard aquatic element to it. And not wildly exciting, but a decent fragrance and worth considering, particularly for younger people, for a fresh, modern kind of scent. Now, another one that's hugely talked about, loads of reviewers, even ones with massive niche collections, still rate this really highly. And this one is Acqua di Gio Profumo from Giorgio Armani. So a flanker to the original mid-90s release Acqua di Gio. Notes on this one, you've got bergamot, aquatic notes, again, geranium, sage, rosemary, patchouli and incense. So they've taken the DNA of the original Acqua di Gio and added in a little bit more woody depth to it and a little bit more sophistication maybe with the incense, the patchouli, a bit more masculinity, but it still has an element of the original Acqua di Gio aquatic fresh kind of scent. A little bit more grown up than Invictus Aqua. Again, kind of mainly a freshie, but it has more depth than, for example, Invictus Aqua and many other aquatic scents. So it would be a really, really good signature scent. My girlfriend Claire from the Smurfy Girly channel does really like particularly the opening on this one and says it smells really sexy and classy. So I can see why this one has this talk about it, the hype on the YouTube fragrance community. Really, really nice, sophisticated, good performance on this one. Really lasted well. It was still on my shirt the next day when I picked up, I think it was this shirt I was wearing one night out on a recent holiday. Picked it up to just put on in the morning for something to wear around the flat we were in, and it was still very strong on the shirt. So great performance on this one. Everyone seems to agree on that. Really nice scent. My only downside on this one is it smells a little bit generic and a little bit somehow familiar and crosses over a bit somehow with the feel of things like Bleu de Chanel, even Dior Sauvage. It's got its own character, but it doesn't stand out as being terribly unique, but a really safe bet that's good. But to me, I see it in every shop, I see it in every airport duty free, it's everywhere, and it just doesn't quite grab me or do it for me. It doesn't excite me, but it is really good and a classy, safe bet. So I can see why this one has some talk. I don't think I'll be adding it to my personal collection, but if you have a smaller collection, you're just looking for a really safe bet with a bit of class about it, I can see why Acqua di Gio has got a good reputation. Moving on then, another one that's really popular with people is Ferrari's Radiant Bergamot. We've seen a lot of talk about this one. I've seen that it's available, I think All Beauty in the UK at the time of making this video has this one for only £20. Fantastic value for money if it's any good. Let's find out. Notes: Calabrian bergamot, Italian lemon, ginger, rosemary, geranium, nutmeg, moss, labdanum and patchouli. I'm loving this one actually. I was thinking, maybe it's just a lot of talk. I really like the crisp naturalness of the bergamot opening, and I think that you notice it's got moss as a listed note. Don't know if that's oak moss, which they can't really use anymore. Rosemary again is in there as it was in the Acqua di Gio one. This one smells more natural than either of the other two, and it has a little bit of that classic freshy kind of fragrance. It reminded me a tiny bit of Monsieur de Givenchy, one of my favourites from the 50s originally. Got a little bit more of a natural smell, lovely green freshness, and something a little bit classic about the scent actually, with a kind of almost mossy fougere or chypre type dry down. It's got ginger in there as well. So really, really beautiful, fresh, natural opening. Little bit of sophistication and maybe old school cologne, just a touch of that kind of vibe, and a great competitor to Ferrari's Bright Neroli, which I may still narrowly prefer, but it's really close. So Ferrari Radiant Bergamot, if that one's becoming easy to get now, because I think it was hard to find for a while, I'd really recommend that one. I might pick that one up for £20. I can see why people are raving about it. Next up then, it's the penultimate one. These are in no particular order, by the way. I'm just doing them in any old order. It's Rassasi Hawass. So again, my sample from Fragrance Samples UK, I've used quite a lot of it. Nice little 5ml sprayers actually pump out a good amount of juice here. Rassasi Hawass then, again, it's had a lot of talk. It's a freshie, 2015. Notes on this one: apple, bergamot, lemon, cinnamon, orange blossom, cardamom, plum, patchouli, grey amber, driftwood and musk. People often compare this, I think, to Invictus Aqua, and there is a similarity, but they're not identical. This one came out before that anyway. What it does share about it is a mixture of an aquatic feel with a slight bubblegummy sweetness. It's okay. I'm a bit nonplussed with this one. It's I think Invictus Aqua grabs me a bit more and is brighter and sharper, so I'd probably prefer that, to be honest. I think this one's about 50 odd pounds on in the UK, so it's not super cheap or anything from a sort of little known company. I really like Darege from Rasasi, which I got for about £20. This one, fresh, clean, a little bit of a mixture of your standard kind of synthetic marine freshness with some bubblegum sweetness. Quite nice, but that's all. Nonplussed with Rasasi Hawass. Performance on the other two, by the way, Radiant Bergamot was a bit disappointing and just average or maybe tiny bit below average, so that's the downside on Radiant Bergamot. Invictus Aqua, again, I find just to be average in performance. I've already mentioned Acqua di Gio Profumo is really strong. This one, Rasasi Hawass, seemed average, okay, but not outstanding. So the last one then on the list, this has been a while since this got a lot of talk. It's CH Men from Carolina Herrera. Interesting one, this one. Different. It's not a freshie so much. It's got bergamot, grapefruit skin, apparently, saffron, nutmeg, woody notes, jasmine and violet. And also in the base we have amber, vanilla, leather, moss and sugar. So many people talk about a grassy green grass accord with this one, and I do get that. It's got quite a bit of sweetness. There's vanilla, and I know sugar doesn't have an aroma, but you can sort of come up with an accord that suggests sugar, I think, in a fragrance. It does have that kind of almost caramelized sugar note and a sort of leatheriness. It's a bit different and interesting. I rather like this one, actually. By the way, this is apparently the modern formula. I think there was a reformulation at some stage. This is the one you buy in shops today. I've got it on my skin here. I like this. I don't love it madly, but I can see why it got some talk. It's got a nice mixture of freshness with sweetness again, but there's something a little bit more interesting to me in this one that's going on than things like Invictus Aqua. It's more sweet, more leaning towards a nighttime or colder weather scent. Pretty versatile, I think, though. Really, really nice. Interesting, spicy, sweet, bit grassy and leathery all at once. Don't know how that quite all fits together, but somehow it does, and it's a nice smell. Doesn't blow me away. It's not mind-blowingly amazing, but it is rather different to a lot of scents out there. So maybe, almost you'd reach for it in the same mood as La Nuit de l'Homme from Yves Saint Laurent or something like that. It's a sort of sweetness, masculinity, bit of freshness in there too, and something a little bit intriguing. So quite like that one. Pretty good. So, my favourite of the bunch at the moment that I'm thinking of buying, probably Radiant Bergamot from Ferrari. Very, very nice scent, particularly if prices can be found online that are good. Thanks ever so much again to Fragrance Samples UK. Do go and check them out and use my discount code. Great way to sample stuff and really great service. It's run by Greggy Boy from the Greggy Boy 76 channel, one of my favourite reviewers. Let me know what you thought of this video. Have you tried any of these fragrances? And which other hyped fragrances would you like me to talk about in the future? Thanks, as ever, for watching. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Smelly.